Ravi, I have a question.
Please go.
This is Geeta. Ranga, thank you so much. You have explained the self-consciousness very well. When you started talking about it, you said it's a given. So a lot of questions started popping into my head about, you mentioned various examples of color and, all that is given. You're born with it. I understand to some extent, but I'm thinking when a baby is born, whether it's a white baby or a black baby or a brown baby, they're not aware that I am white, black, or whatever other color. So when does that awareness come to them? Is it not because of external, the environment? Aren't the parents, isn't the society creating that kind of awareness in them?
Ravi Sripati is hands.
Sripati, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Ranga. I think this was an eye-opening session. Thanks for that. So my fundamental question is, we talked about building awareness and sort of weakening the link between the comparisons and the judgments that we do. Is there a way by which we can measure the awareness that we have developed? Is there a way by which I know that I have done a reasonably good job on developing that awareness and thereby trying to, take more rational decisions or move in the, in the area of joyous learning and development?
All right. Yeah, let me first start with answering my question to Geeta. Okay, do children who are born blind, do they make gestures? Now, typically we will say gestures come from observing others making the gestures. Is that right? Like thumbs up or shrugging shoulder when I am indifferent, right? Or any of the gestures, facial gestures, like lifting the eyebrows when I'm surprised, right? So, are all these gestures seen and learnt, or are they coming from inside? There is a beautiful research that was done, and they found, while many gestures are learned by observing others, there are a lot of core gestures that come even for people who are born blind. Okay. Question: do they make it when they are born? On the day they are born? No. These attributes exist in them and they start showing up as they start growing. Is that fine? For example, a child which is a baby doesn't know that it can say no. Okay? So whenever the mother feeds the baby only suckles. That's why in hospitals, they don't leave the baby with the mother completely, because the mother has a maternal instinct to feed the baby, and the baby doesn't know how to say no, and the baby may die of overfeeding. But somewhere on the 8th month, the ego comes up. And the baby says, I'm not hungry, why are you feeding? So when the bottle of milk is taken to the left side, the baby turns the head that side. When the bottle of milk is taken to the other side, the baby turns the head this side. If you notice carefully, can I say the ego was not there in the child? The ego was there in the child. It manifested on the 8th month. Is that fine? Fair enough? Same way, the self-consciousness is there in the baby. It starts manifesting the moment it sees another baby. Is it fine? Fine. That's why even without parents teaching anything, even without anything, you will see 2-3-year-old children playing in the park. One person will dominate. One boy will be very submissive. Right? So self-esteem issues will start at that age itself, even before somebody teaches the child. Right? Now, these attributes are there. It manifests as we grow. Is it fine? Have I answered your question, Geeta?
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Now coming to Sripati's question, right? Knowing Sripati's background, I'm not surprised he is asking a question on measurement. Okay, because he is a Six Sigma specialist. So obviously, quality and measurement and what is called DMAC, right? So what cannot be defined, cannot be controlled, and what cannot be measured. So he's asking a question, is there a way to measure the self-awareness? There is actually no measuring scale, but I would suggest a small exercise, which has benefited me a lot. Every day before going to sleep, if you can spend just 5 minutes closing our eyes, running through the day, and asking ourselves a question, how many triggers were there? And for how many triggers did I act out of awareness? How many triggers I acted out of impulse? Close our eyes and ask a very honest question. First few days, your ego will tell you, I think you did that beautifully today, relax. The next few days, you will say, no, I think I could have handled the transaction with my wife better. Okay. Now, if you do this exercise over a period of time, you will realize that your own awareness is improving. Because during the day, a dialog box will pop up in your mind. You know what it will tell you? Remember night, so better do it right now. Okay. So I think by a few sadhanas, you can realize that you are becoming more and more aware, and you can take better choices of decisions which are not driven by self-comparisons and others' comparisons. But this is a sadhana that I would suggest you. But there is actually no direct measure of it, whether you're improving or not. There is a simple measure, which is feedback from family members. Believe me, if you're improving, they will notice. Because when we don't improve, they are the ones who are affected. So if you improve, they'll be delighted. So be honest in seeking feedback, and people will tell you, yeah, I think there's a lot of peace in the family here. So it looks like I think you're improving. So somebody will tell you. So take feedback from near and dear people. I think they'll be very honest, right? So this will be my response.
Sure,
Thank you,
thanks.
Ranga. Thank you, Ranga. Next is Geeta Kaushik. Can you please go ahead? You can unmute and speak, Geeta Kaushik.
Thank you. Mine is not directly based on what we learned in this one, but doubt that is coming as I hear these sessions. Each of us, either assume or told a certain responsibility we have towards other members of our family, towards teachers, towards friends, towards society. I mean, some are explicitly taught, some are implicitly assumed that we have towards them. And a lot of time and energy is spent by each of us in fulfilling those responsibilities, right? Now, whether we are using the time effectively or should we be even doing it? Are we spending the energies in the right direction? Is all very, very subjective sometimes, I feel. And I'm not able to measure whether, first of all, am I doing what should be done or what somebody is asking, expecting out of me? Should I have been spending that same energy towards something else? So some of these, actually, I don't have a clear understanding, but these questions do come over a period of time. And sometimes we say, yeah, I mean, this is the state I'm in, let me just deal with it, right? So that's my question. Just my, I wouldn't say question, and just those thoughts that go through my mind, at least.
Okay, wonderful, Geeta. I don't want to spend time answering this question because the simple booklet on What's My Duty will answer all your questions.
Okay.
Okay, because that was a mind-blowing book for me. Because many times when we see, let me give a simple answer to your question. There is no Geeta in this world. There is no Geeta Kaushik. People relate to you through certain roles. Am I right?
Correct.
Like Nandan relates to you as a son. I relate to you as a friend. Your employee relates to you as a boss. Am I right about it? So we are nothing but a bundle of roles. That's all. And the moment we say role comes with a set of responsibilities. And the responsibilities comes with a set of actions to be done. Very simple equation. But the question here is, who will decide what the responsibilities of that role are? Okay, is there a guideline to it? I think there is a guideline to it. And that comes from a deeper understanding of what is my duty in the role and what is not my duty. Right? For example, if you have, say, a daughter, I'm talking about our culture, okay? If you have a daughter, is it your duty to get the daughter married? The answer is no. But you know how much of time is spent in fulfilling that duty? Okay, why is the answer no? Because what is your duty is somebody else's right. Am I right? That's what we saw. So does your daughter have the right to decide not to get married?
Yeah.
Of course. In fact, by telling her that I will somehow get you married, you are actually rubbing into her rights. So there are certain duties which are duties. There are certain duties which are not. We are just exploited in certain duties. In our culture, many times you are exploited by bosses. In our social structure, no offense meant, but many times you are exploited by relationships like, say, a mother-in-law or a sister-in-law. Right? It's more exploitation that happens, and we allow it to happen. Right? And you will not have time for your priorities if you are not clear about what are my duties and what are not. And what is not your duty, if you still do it, it will be a favor. Is that fine? You can still choose to do it as a favor, no problem. Right? For example, answering your questions in the session today is my duty. But if you tell me, Ranga, can you spend one full day and solve my life problem? I have an issue with my mother-in-law. I'll come with her also to your house. Right? Now, if I say yes to you, it's a favor. I want to be clear in my mind that it's a favor and not my duty. Is that fine? So I will post that PDF in the group. Please take a look at it. Maybe read it a couple of times. It's a very small book that can be read in 15 minutes.
Okay.
Read it a couple of times. I think it will bring a lot of clarity.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Ranga. Next is Sheshadri. You can go ahead, unmute and speak.
Namaste Rangaji.
Namaste.
My name is Sheshadri. So I have one little doubt in my mind first of all, thanks for this excellent sessions. The doubt what I have is when we say that we don't have to compare to someone or we don't have to lead a life comparing with others and such things. But somewhere, I think we need some benchmark. So what should be that benchmark? And if we do, what Vedantas are there, they are there from many years, and the age has gone. Like now the situation is entirely different. So there is a lot of gap. The basics fundamentals may remain same, but there is a lot of gap between the way we lead the life and the way the people led the life 100 years before. So there in that time maybe the comparison was not required, but here what do we set as a benchmark if we don't compare? So in Kannada there is something called as nirliptate. I don't know what is the exact word in English. So if we keep on leading a life without that spark or without that comparison, will we not get into that mode, and will not people get into a lazy mode? So that is what my doubt is.
Beautiful, wonderful. Lack of comparison, does it stop you from aspiring? Is aspiring something bad? Right? Ichha Shakti, we talked about it, desiring something bad. No. I think what is important is we have to analyze from where is that desire coming? Am I driving it? Am I in control of the desire, or others are in control of the desire? That's it. In fact, there is no limit to what you can aspire, right? And in fact, we are expected to aspire something much larger. I think the benchmarks will come in absolute terms rather than in relative terms. That's all. That's the only change that will happen when we go through this journey. The benchmarks will still come, but the benchmark, for example, if I see somebody achieving something. That may give me a direction as to how I should proceed, but it will happen without jealousy. You will still clap for the person and still decide, oh, I think this is a wonderful thing to do. Maybe I also want to try it. But you will ask a question, is this what I want to try? Is it in line with my purpose, my vision? And when the answer is yes, you will still go ahead. The trigger still came by observing somebody else. No problem. The only difference is, I think the mindset with which you will do something will be different. That's all. You may still set the same goal, but the mindset will be different and the way you will reach it will be different. It will lead to a positive aspiration rather than a blindless chase that we end up doing. That's all. Okay. Might seem a very simple answer, but I think we need to go a little deeper into some more topics to get a complete clarity on this, right? So,
right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ranga.
Rangaraj, any other pending?
No. As of now, no, Ranga. There is no hand show up or there is no questions in the chat.
Excellent. Fantastic. So thank you so much to everybody for joining season 1. We will continue to stay in the WhatsApp group, right? We will publish as to who is your coach. Or you can also send a message to the team members in terms of what language you would prefer in case you prefer a local language, right? So you will hear some core team members reaching out to you in a smaller group, okay? Because we plan to assign about 12, 14 people to each of the core team members. So somebody may reach you and say, we'll form a small subgroup to decide a few things. In a small subgroup, things are far more in control, right, than in a large group like this. So please cooperate, but that is only for a short while till things are sorted out, all your queries are addressed, all your concerns are addressed, and then we move on further, right? So I will also be starting, I'm also one of the core team members, so I will also be connecting with some of you, and then we'll move forward, right? So thank you very much. Wonderful. Pranams, namaskar. Over to you, Ravi, for closure.
Thank you, Ranga. Thank you for a beautiful session. Ranga, you can say the closing prayer and we will conclude.
All right. So the closing is always on a gratitude plane. We thank the Cosmos for giving us this wonderful tools, technologies, and giving us uninterrupted time, uninterrupted flow of internet. A lot of things have happened which are completely out of our control. A lot of things have happened to our advantage in this last 2 hours. So we express our gratitude for it, right? So 30 seconds of gratitude prayer in whatever way you want, and then we close. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you, and a small request to each of you before you log off. In our culture, we are not used to explicit expressions. In fact, many times we say, I had a gratitude in my heart. How come you didn't see it? Right? But there is no point in telling that to somebody after the relationship is broken. Right? So I think our culture is not explicit expression culture. Maybe we can change that because it does mean a lot to people. So requesting each of you to please post in the WhatsApp group what you felt about the 3 sessions, what your takeaways were. Be explicit and be detailed. I think it'll motivate others to share. It'll address some questions of others. I think it means a lot to all of us, right? Core team members. So specific thanks and